That's you. Who are you shooting at?
Cornelia Smith, one of young Dolph's accused killers, just confessed in court, and what he said shook the entire room. Not only did he admit to pulling the trigger, he exposed who was really behind the hit. Let me fill you in. The killer apology. The whole courtroom was on straight pins and needles when Cornelia Smith stepped to the stand in September 2024. Nearly 3 years after the cold-blooded murder of Memphis legend young Dolph, everybody was waiting to see if this dude would keep it a buck or try to cap his way out of the situation. What followed was some of the most jaw-dropping testimony the Memphis justice system had seen in years. When prosecutors put the question to him straight about whether he was at Makeda's homemade butter cookies on that fateful day, November 17th, 2021, Smith didn't even try to front. He straight up claimed his role as one of the triggermen caught on the security cam footage. The way he owned up to it had everybody in the courtroom shook. As the DA showed Smith the security footage and asked him to identify which blicky he was holding, this man responded with the kind of chill that had people wondering if he even had a soul.
I got the new Draco stab on.
Okay, that's that.
The way this fool casually described the semi-automatic he used to smoke young Dolph had the gallery gasping. When asked if he'd ever squeezed that particular heater before, Smith kept the same energy.
I know shit.
Smith's whole demeanor on the stand was colder than winter in Chicago. No cap, this man talked about catching a body like he was describing a trip to the corner store. That emotionless vibe had everyone in the courtroom feeling some type of way. What people were hoping to hear, some kind of genuine "my bad" to Dolph's family, never materialized. Instead of showing any real remorse, Smith hit him with some self-serving garbage that was all about lightening his own mental load. When asked why he decided to take the stand and snitch, Smith kept it 100 in the worst way, saying, "I'm going to jail anyway. I can get it off my chest." That weak statement, the closest thing to an apology this clown offered, showed he was more worried about his own feelings than the lives he destroyed. The testimony got even wilder when Smith started spilling about his emotional state during and after the hit. He admitted that he felt nothing at the time of the killing, which had everybody in court side-eyeing this man hard. He claimed he was popping pills and not caring after the murder, suggesting any guilt he might have caught only hit him after they locked his up. In one of the most twisted parts of his testimony, Smith revealed he carried out the hit on his daughter's birthday. The excuse this man gave for choosing violence on a day meant for celebration was that he needed the bread for his shorty, saying, "I'm trying to make it right for her." The audacity of this fool, taking another father's life to supposedly provide for his own seed, had people in the courtroom ready to throw hands. The bombshell dropped when Smith started talking about who put the hit out. According to his testimony, Big Jook, Yo Gotti's blood brother, had put a $100K bounty on young Dolph's dome. This instantly connected the murder to the long-standing beef between Dolph's Paper Route empire and Gotti's collective music group, giving the whole situation major street politics vibes. Smith testified that the bag was supposed to be split with $40K for him, $40K for his co-defendant Justin Johnson, and $20K to Hernandez Govin, the alleged mastermind. But in a classic case of hood economics gone wrong, Smith claimed he only saw $800 before the cops snatched him up, which probably explains why this man was suddenly so willing to point fingers at everyone else involved. Smith broke down how they plotted on Dolph initially, planning to catch him slipping at a Thanksgiving turkey drive where the rapper was giving back to the hood. But when they spotted his distinctive camo-wrapped whip outside Makeda's cookies, they switched up the play. With cold calculation, Smith hopped out of their white Benz first, followed by Johnson, and together they let off approximately 22 shots at Dolph, hitting him multiple times, including in the head, back, and arms. What nobody knew until Smith started singing was that Dolph and his brother weren't going out like suckers. Smith revealed that Marcus Thornton, Dolph's brother, who was also in the bakery, busted back during the ambush, catching Smith in the arm and leg while grazing Johnson on the back. This wild detail showed that despite being caught off guard, Dolph's camp wasn't afraid to return fire. The getaway was just as calculated as the hit itself. Smith testified that after murking Dolph, he and Johnson ditched their whip in Orange Mound, Tennessee, and switched clothes at a spot in South Memphis to throw off the 5-0. In one of the most disrespectful flexes, Smith claimed that they FaceTimed Big Jook afterward, with Johnson spelling Dolph's name in sign language to confirm the hit, a cold-blooded move that showed they were actually proud of what they'd done. The defense attorney, Luke Evans, tried to play Smith like he was capping about the whole thing. Evans claimed Smith had been telling his peoples he didn't body Dolph, suggesting he was falsely snitching on Johnson to save his own skin. Evans also pointed out there weren't any prints in the getaway whip, trying to create doubt about Johnson's involvement. Despite these attempts to poke holes in Smith's story, the prosecution came with receipts. Phone tracking data putting both shooters' phones at the scene, clothes matching the ones in the footage found at Johnson's crib, and testimony from Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, backing up key parts of Smith's account. After 3 days of testimony dominated by Smith's cold confessions, the jury wasn't trying to hear any excuses. They found Justin Johnson guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and being a felon with a burner. The judge hit him with life plus, making sure this man wouldn't see daylight until he was pushing a walker. Meanwhile, despite admitting to the murder, Smith's still waiting on his own trial, probably hoping his cooperation will get him a lighter bid. Throughout the entire trial, what had everybody talking was the complete lack of remorse from either defendant. Justin Johnson kept claiming he wasn't on the hit, despite all the evidence showing otherwise, and didn't even flinch when they read the guilty verdict. Smith, while admitting to pulling the trigger, seemed more focused on his own situation than the fact he'd taken a father away from his kids, stating coldly, "I'm going to jail anyway. I can get it off my chest." As Smith's testimony wrapped, the courtroom was left with a disturbing look into the mind of a cold-blooded killer, a man who could plan a hit, carry it out with zero hesitation, and feel nothing afterward. His emotionless recounting of taking a life showed just how desensitized some individuals can become in environments where violence is normalized and human life is devalued. Smith's courtroom performance answered the how of young Dolph's murder, but it left many questions about why someone like Smith could pull a trigger so easily and show so little remorse afterward. To fully understand that, we need to dive deeper into the street politics, gang beefs, and music industry. Rivalries that created the perfect storm for this tragedy, which is exactly what we'll explore next: the murder plot. The trial of young Dolph's alleged killers exposed a murder-for-hire scheme so cold it had even veteran street dudes shaking their heads. As Cornelia Smith's testimony unfolded day after day, the courtroom got an unfiltered look at how the streets operate when money, revenge, and clout are all on the line. Nearly 3 years after Dolph's body dropped, the September 2024 trial of Justin Johnson finally kicked off. The courtroom quickly turned into ground zero for revelations about how the hit went down. What came to light was far more calculated and grimier than most people had imagined. In his opening statement, prosecutor Paul Hagerman came out swinging with allegations that had the whole room buzzing. Big Jook, brother to Memphis heavyweight Yo Gotti, had allegedly put a whole 100 racks on young Dolph's head. This bombshell connected the dots between the murder and the long simmering beef between Dolph's Paper Route empire and Gotti's collective music group, a rivalry that had been brewing in the Memphis streets for almost a decade. But the real showstopper was when Cornelia Smith took the stand and started snitching with his whole chest. This man pointed himself out on the security footage and implicated Justin Johnson as his accomplice without hesitation. When asked directly if he killed young Dolph, Smith didn't even try to duck the charge. Looking at the surveillance playback, Smith identified himself without flinching.
Stop it here.
It's me.
Throughout his testimony, Smith spoke about the murder with all the emotion of someone ordering a Big Mac. When pressed about carrying out a hit on his daughter's birthday, a day that should have been about celebration, Smith exposed his twisted priority. He justified murking another father because he needed the bread for his own shorty, actually saying, "I'm trying to make it right for her." This backward logic, catching a body to provide for your seed, offered a glimpse into the warped value system that allowed Smith to squeeze without remorse. The financial aspects of the hit had everybody in the courtroom taking notes. According to Smith, Big Jook put up $100K to have Dolph bodied, with Smith and Johnson each promised $40K for doing the dirt, while Hernandez Govan, alleged to be the connect who arranged everything, was supposed to pocket $20K. But in a classic case of street economics, Smith claimed he only saw $800 of his promised $40K before getting knocked, showing how empty promises often are in the game. Smith laid out how meticulously they plotted on Dolph. The original plan was to catch him at a Thanksgiving turkey drive where the rapper was scheduled to bless the community. But when fate threw them a lick and they spotted Dolph's distinctive camo-wrapped whip outside Makeda's cookies, they switched up on the fly. This flexibility showed that this wasn't some impulsive crime of passion. These dudes were on a mission to smoke Dolph regardless of when or where they found him. The aftermath of the hit revealed just how calculated these shooters were. Smith testified that after leaving Dolph's body on the bakery floor, he and Johnson dipped to Orange Mound where they abandoned their white Benz, then hit a spot in South Memphis to change clothes. The next move was beyond cold. They allegedly FaceTimed Big Jook to confirm the hit, with Johnson spelling out DOLPH in sign language, a flex that showed they took pride in what they'd done, rather than feeling any type of remorse. One of the wildest revelations from Smith's testimony was that Dolph and his brother weren't caught completely slipping. Marcus Thornton, young Dolph's brother who was in the bakery with him, busted back during the attack. Smith caught bullets in the arm and leg while Johnson got grazed on the back. This detail flipped the script on the narrative that Dolph was an easy target. In reality, he and his brother were strapped and ready to defend themselves, but were simply outgunned in the moment. The security footage played in court left little to the imagination. The video showed the white Mercedes ladies rolling up to the bakery and two masked men hopping out, one with a handgun and the other with a semi-automatic. This footage put the final nail in the coffin for the defense's claims that their clients weren't on the scene. Defense attorney Luke Evans tried his best to paint Smith as a liar looking to save his own skin. Evans claimed Smith had been telling family members he didn't body Dolph, suggesting he was now falsely implicating Johnson to cut a better deal for himself. This strategy aimed to make the jury question whether Smith was just saying whatever would benefit him rather than speaking facts. Despite these attempts to discredit Smith, the prosecution's case was bulletproof. They had cell phone tracking data placing both shooters' phones at the scene, clothes matching what the killers wore found at Johnson's crib, and testimony from Jamarcus Johnson, Justin's half-brother, backing up key parts of Smith's account. After 3 days of testimony that had the courtroom on edge, the jury wasn't buying what the defense was selling. They found Justin Johnson guilty on all counts: first-degree murder, conspiracy to commit murder, and being a felon with a burner. The judge sentenced him to life with the possibility of parole after 63 years, basically ensuring this man would die behind bars. Throughout the entire trial, neither defendant showed a shred of genuine remorse. Justin Johnson maintained his innocence despite mountains of evidence, showing zero emotion when they read the guilty verdict. Smith, while admitting to pulling the trigger, seemed more focused on unburdening himself than acknowledging the lives he destroyed, coldly stating, "I'm going to jail anyway. I can get it off my chest." The trial didn't just expose who killed Dolph, it shined a light on the complex gang politics of Memphis. With approximately 102 gangs and over 13,000 members throughout the city, Memphis has long been a hotbed for gang activity. Young Dolph's murder appears connected to a specific beef between two local sets: Double R, rich and ruthless, and Trula Mafia, which has ties to the Grape Street Crips. According to multiple sources familiar with Memphis street politics, this beef between Double R and Trula Mafia had been brewing for years, escalating after the deaths of key Trilla Mafia shot callers like J Money around 2016 to 2017. Dolph, who reportedly had connections on both sides but was closer to Double R, found himself caught in the crossfire of these rival factions. The situation got even messier with Dolph's business decision to sign an artist named Uncle Danny. In 2021, Dolph added Uncle Danny, a known Trilla Mafia member, to his Paper Route Empire roster, a move that allegedly had some Trilla Mafia members feeling some type of way since Dolph was known to be tighter with Double R. This perceived betrayal may have put an even bigger target on Dolph's back. Adding another layer to this tangled web of street politics is what happened to Big Jook, the man alleged to have ordered the hit. On January 13th, 2024, Big Jook was himself gunned down outside a Memphis restaurant in what appeared to be a carefully planned hit. While no suspects have been identified and law enforcement hasn't publicly connected this murder to Dolph's case, the streets are talking about possible get-back for Dolph's death. The court proceedings also shed light on the long-standing beef between Dolph and Yo Gotti's camps. This rivalry kicked off around 2014 when Dolph publicly curved an offer to sign with Gotti's CMG label, choosing instead to remain independent, a move that many saw as disrespectful. The tension escalated when Dolph dropped his debut album King of Memphis in 2016, a title many interpreted as Dolph claiming Gotti's throne as Memphis's top dog. The back and forth between Puri and CMG played out in diss tracks and public flexing. Dolph released Play With Yo, taking shots at Gotti, who responded with "Don't beef with me." Things turned violent when Black Youngstar, a CMG artist, was allegedly connected to a 2017 incident where over 100 rounds were let off at Dolph's bulletproof car in Charlotte. Though Youngstar was booked in connection with the shooting, the charges were eventually dropped. While Yo Gotti himself has never been directly implicated in Dolph's murder, the alleged involvement of his brother Big Jook suggests the beef between these camps may have escalated far beyond bars and social media posts. The courtroom revelations painted a picture of a murder driven by a perfect storm of gang rivalries, personal vendettas, and music industry competition. During Dolph's 2017 Breakfast Club interview, he spoke on his issues with Gotti's camp in a way that now seems prophetic.
It ain't nothing to move forward from. Like, I'm straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm good.
When pressed further about why reconciliation wasn't possible, Dolph kept it a buck.
I just can't respect it, bro. It's like, I'm gonna just tell y'all the truth, man. I can't respect nothing like, it's like, the music cool, the money cool, all that shit. But if I don't respect you, if it's something about you I just don't respect, bro, I can't sit and fake and act like it's all good.
These words hit different now, knowing that the beef Dolph described as being about respect rather than music or money may have ultimately cost him his life. While Justin Johnson's trial has concluded with a guilty verdict, the full story of young Dolph's murder continues to unfold. Hernandez-Govan, alleged to be the connect who arranged the hit, is scheduled for trial in July 2025, and Smith, despite confessing on the stand, still awaits his own trial. As these cases progress, more details about the conspiracy that led to Dolph's death will likely come to light. What's already clear from the courtroom testimony is that young Dolph's murder wasn't some random act of violence or impulsive crime. It was a carefully planned hit emerging from a complex web of street beefs, music industry rivalries, and personal vendettas. The cold, calculated nature of the killing and the complete lack of remorse shown by those involved provide a disturbing glimpse into a world where human life can be taken for money, status, or simply to settle a score. The Gang War. This professional rivalry traced back to 2014 when Dolph publicly rejected an offer to sign with Gotti's label. The tension escalated in 2016 with the release of Dolph's debut album, King of Memphis, which many perceived as a challenge to Yo Gotti's claim to the title of Memphis's preeminent rapper. This perceived slight offended not only Gotti, but also his associate Black Youngsta, leading to a series of public confrontations and diss tracks. The beef turned potentially deadly in February 2017 when Dolph's SUV was hit with over 100 bullets in Charlotte, North Carolina. Thanks to his vehicle's bulletproof modifications, Dolph survived unharmed and performed a scheduled concert that same night, a defiant act that inspired his album Bulletproof and the track 100 Shots. Following the incident, an arrest warrant was issued for Black Youngsta, who later turned himself in, though the charges were eventually dropped. Just months later, in September 2017, Dolph was shot multiple times outside a shoe store in Hollywood, requiring surgery for wounds to his arms and buttocks. While Yo Gotti was initially named as a person of interest, he was later cleared. Corey McClendon, a friend of Gotti's, was arrested for attempted murder, but released without charges the following day. These incidents demonstrated both the dangerous nature of the feud and Dolph's remarkable resilience, qualities that made his eventual murder all the more shocking to those who had seen him survive previous attempts on his life. During his 2017 Breakfast Club interview, when asked about the shooting incidents and whether they had affected his enjoyment of life, Dolph responded with characteristic confidence.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
This ability to continue enjoying life despite the dangers around him was part of what made Dolph such a compelling figure in hip-hop. He refused to be intimidated or change his lifestyle, even as the threats mounted. When asked if he had to drive in bulletproof vehicles, he acknowledged the precaution, but maintained he was still enjoying his success.
So, it's like I'm in a whole nother space right now. You know what I mean? So
part of that whole other space was fatherhood, which Dolph cited as transformative in his life. Unfortunately, this new chapter would be cut short by his murder. The alleged involvement of Big Juke, Yo Gotti's brother, in ordering the hit on Dolph raises questions about the extent to which the CMG versus pre-feud contributed to the tragedy. While Yo Gotti himself has never been implicated in the murder, the trial revelations suggest that the professional rivalry may have taken on a deadlier dimension within his circle. In a twist of fate that some view as karmic justice, Big Juke was killed in January 2024 in a targeted shooting outside a Memphis restaurant. While no official connection has been made between his death and Dolph's murder, the timing and manner of his killing have led many to speculate that it was an act of retaliation. The convergence of the CMG versus pre-feud with the Double R versus Trella Mafia conflict created a perfect storm of tension surrounding young Dolph. As an independent artist with street credibility and growing commercial success, he became a symbol of what could be achieved outside the traditional system, a status that may have made him both admired and envied. Throughout his career, Dolph maintained a fierce commitment to independence that set him apart from many of his peers.
I got some stuff like they trying to set it up right and get it right. You know what I mean? Where we can do the deal, but it's just something in me that's just like I'm not enthused about.
This insistence on control extended to his business model, which he believed could serve as an example for other artists.
I'm looking at how I got, like I said, how I got mine set up and how mine's going. You know what I mean? With these shows and distribution checks every month. Hey, you know what I'm saying? Like, if I could show a lot of these rappers and get them the game and let them see and know what I'm doing, what I got going on, how my numbers geeked up, it's a lot of people will be trying to get out their deal.
This business acumen, combined with his street credibility and musical talent, made Dolph a formidable presence in the hip-hop landscape. However, it also placed him in a precarious position, navigating between the world of legitimate business and the street politics of his past. In reflecting on young Dolph's complex legacy, It's important to consider not just the circumstances of his death, but the entirety of his life journey. Born in Chicago and raised in Memphis by his grandmother, Dolph overcame significant obstacles to achieve success on his own terms. From taking care of his younger siblings at an early age to building an independent music empire, his story embodies both the American dream and its dangers. As fans and observers continue to process the courtroom revelations about young Dolph's murder, one question looms large. Could his death have been prevented? The multiple previous attempts on his life suggest that the threats were real and persistent. Yet Dolph continued to move about Memphis, supporting local businesses like Makeda's Cookies, refusing to be driven into hiding by fear. This defiance was part of what made Dolph an appealing figure to many. His refusal to be intimidated, his insistence on living life on his terms. When asked during his Breakfast Club interview about the dangers he faced, Dolph was philosophical.
I ain't finna lay low, I'm finna be out. I ain't finna do nothing. You know what I mean? It's like, Dolph still got the same barbershop, she's still in the same hood, he's still in the same, doing everything. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, pull up, you know what I'm saying? Like, me personally, I don't give a damn.
This attitude reflected both Dolph's courage and perhaps a fatalistic acceptance of the risks associated with his lifestyle and past. When the host pressed him about the need to care for his own safety, especially as a father, Dolph acknowledged the complexity of his situation.
100 rounds though, is like, what, people don't know everything about it. Like, they had to pick one of their mans up off of their ground and take them to the hospital too though.
These words now carry an eerie resonance, suggesting that Dolph was well aware of the dangers but chose to face them head on rather than retreat. Whether this was bravado, a genuine belief in his invulnerability, or a complex mix of factors, it ultimately contributed to the circumstances that made his murder possible. Young Dolph's legacy exists at the intersection of multiple narratives, of a self-made success story, of gang conflicts and rap feuds, of fatherhood and philanthropy, of defiance and vulnerability. As the legal proceedings continue to unfold and more details emerge about the circumstances of Dolph's murder, his fans, family, and the broader hip-hop community are left to grapple with the loss of an authentic voice whose story was cut short. Thanks for joining us today. Check out our other content for more real-life celebrity stories.